here's the truth. Your team isn't just showing up with skills or with resumes and past job experience, friends. They're bringing their past with them, their past fears, their limiting beliefs, and sometimes even their baggage. It's coming with them into that new position you just hired them for, and you're all excited. And when that baggage shows up as insecurity, it's not your job to fix it. It's your job, it's your opportunity to name it, frame it, and lead through it. And in today's episode in the Sandbox, that is exactly what we're going to do in this hot, fast, in a hurry. Coming to you strong episode in the Leadership Sandbox. Their insecurity isn't your leadership problem, and how to stay strong when your team's baggage becomes that pink elephant with purple polka dots in the corner of your room. So let's dive in 3, 2, 1, let's go. All right. If I give them more clarity or reassurance, their insecurity will go away. That's a myth that you've been telling yourself. The reality is, insecurity is rarely about the task. It's mostly about the story that they're telling themselves, the stories that have shaped their past experiences, been shaped by their past jobs, been shaped by their past bosses, and even the past trauma. They're bringing all of that with them, like a red badge of courage in the baggage that they brought into your workplace. And the deal is, friends, you can't erase their story, but you have an opportunity to make sure that it doesn't sabotage your team and the productivity. Here's something that the Center for Creative Leadership put out. They found that emotional projection and unresolved conflict are among the top 3 causes of leadership derailment, especially when a peer becomes a boss. And I've talked about how to transition from peer to boss and how do you do that? And that's when we bring the hats into the conversation. But that derailment study that CCL did is pretty incredible when you think about the top 3 issues: unresolved conflict based on emotional projection from past experiences. Has nothing to do with you. And this is how it shows up in your teams. A direct report takes feedback as personal attack. Ever had that happen? Or someone constantly seeking reassurance before acting because I'm just not confident that I can do a job. I just had a conversation the other evening with a CEO who owns multiple companies who actually brought this very issue up. And the frustration for him is he's like, I'm not going to keep reassuring people that they know how to do the job. If they don't know how to do it, then they need to get off the team. If we've told them, it's kind of that tell them once and then you're done moment. But the reality is we haven't actually addressed the root cause or the root issue for it. When team members interpret neutral decisions as favoritism or rejection, because somehow somebody else got all the credit, or it's neutral, nobody got it, but I didn't get it, that must mean, right, there's favoritism going on. All of these behaviors are rooted in a belief. It's a picture that your employee, that your team member holds in their head, and they're usually rooted in past wounds and not current reality. It has nothing to do with you, yet you're getting the opportunity to come in and solve for it and fix it. Fast Company reported on this. They said unchecked insecurity creates organizational bottlenecks. Decisions slow down, trust erodes, and leaders spend more time managing emotions than managing to outcomes. And that's where that 28% of your time goes into that managing underperformance, because that's how it starts to show up, when really it's the emotions and the history, that baggage that you got to go and unpack, asking great questions to get them there. Curious, what caused that belief in you? I'm curious where that understanding, where you developed that belief from. I'm curious in this scenario, team member, how you developed that belief that somehow there's favoritism. Give me some examples. They can't. They're not going to. They're going to make up a story around it. Now, again, not your opportunity in that moment to come in and fix it and be the accidental therapist. What it is, it's actually for you to start with step number 1, which is name it without shame. I'm noticing this reaction feels bigger than the situation. Can we talk about what's really driving that behavior and that emotional reaction? This pulls out the emotion into the open without blaming the person for feeling the emotions. Because remember, that past trauma, that past baggage is the loudest voice in their room right then, not you. What you want to do is be the softest, because the softest is going to get their attention because that's not what they're expecting. And then step number 2, you want to separate the baggage from their performance. You want to make it clear. How do you do that? You want to say something like, your value isn't in question here. Your behavior in this role is. That then, right there, let me say that again. Your value isn't in question. However, your behavior in this situation or in this role is. We're going to tie it back to the behavior, always going back to the behavior, because it takes it off the personality and it puts it into the action that they're doing in that moment. And it helps the person to untangle their identity from their performance. One of the greatest bottlenecks, one of the greatest issues is when identity is caught up in performance factor. And if they're not getting praised, celebrated, and acknowledged, they then are questioning their own abilities and their own just who they are. That's what you're wanting to unpack for them in a way that's healthy and in a way that reframes it. And then you want to go into step number 3, which is the step to set boundaries for growth. See, as a leader, you can support someone's growth, but you cannot carry it for them. Let me say that again. As a leader, friend, you can support someone's growth, but you cannot carry it for them. And if they're unwilling to work on their mindset, on the limiting beliefs that are holding them back, that are impacting their performance, that is a performance issue and not a leadership failure. Now, if you're not willing to go in as the leader to help reframe that for them so they can have it exposed, because all that storyline that's been from the predecessor that came before you, right? Or if you were a peer, that storyline that they had conversations with you about the job and their frustration with it, and now you're their boss, they don't know where they stand with you. You're not willing to go in and reframe that into the behaviors that we want to see, right? That we want to understand in the workplace and model in the workplace, then that is your fail point. But fixing them is not yours. And how they got that insecurity most likely came from previous situations, 9 times out of 10. Another episode will cover it when you're making your people feel insecure. That's for a conversation for another time. But here's what I want to also say. The great Adam Grant says it this way: people don't resist change, they resist being changed. And that's how it works when you go into mindset. You're offering a reframe of them so they can personally investigate why they landed or what the behavior is, what's driving the behavior, what's the baggage, what is the, I'll say this a lot of times, tell me when you, and someone will give me a negative comment about themselves. Their negative self-talk will be really bad. And I'll say, ooh, whose voice do you hear saying that? Who's the voice that you hear the most? And they'll always name somebody. Well, it was this other boss, or it was a parent, or it was a neighborhood somebody, or a teacher, right? An instructor. That voice is so loud in their head because they've given it sanction to operate so loudly. It's a mindset issue. So I love that, yeah, they might resist change but it's really about the being changed, right? It's the being change part that they're struggling with. Your job as a leader isn't to heal someone's past. It's to keep today's mission clear. Help them see their baggage, name it, right? Yes, but don't pick it up. Lead with boundaries, clarity, and courage. So here's something I want to invite you to do today. As you're thinking through this episode, I want you to go through and think about in your next one-on-ones that you're going to have. I want you to think about, is there a member whose behavior might be rooted in insecurity? Who is that? And I want you to pull them aside in the next conversation that you have with them after you've reflected on who it is and you've written down only what you've observed, making no assumptions, right? What behaviors you've observed. And then have a conversation about it. Starts with something like, here's what I'm seeing. Tell me what the story is. Tell me what the story is that you're telling yourself about this. Tell me who the voice is that you hear in your head when you say this. Especially negative self-talk is a prime giveaway of past issues of limiting beliefs that they have. And when they're negative Nellying in their self-talk and saying it out loud, that inside voice coming out, perfect opportunity for you to say, what's the story that you're telling yourself about this? Listen, this actually works really well when you're willing to step into it. It's a very deeply relatable way to approach insecurities. It's not yours to fix. Let's remember that. It's not your problem. It's how you're going to approach it so that the baggage that someone else brings in doesn't become the issue of the day that we trip over, or that pink elephant in the room we're not willing to name. Take the time to name it. The steps are simple. Name it without shame, separate the baggage from the performance, and set boundaries for growth. Be clear, be concise, be quick, and set them up to win. That's a leadership moment that will take you far and long on your journey. Hey, thanks so much for joining me in the Sandbox today. Hope that this was helpful with you. We have one more episode, and I'm so excited. One more episode in this series, but actually it's going to be our 100th episode here at the Leadership Sandbox. I'm thrilled that we're going to be joining together in the Sandbox next week for our 100th episode, all about those very tricky little things that we call hope is not a strategy. We're going to dive into that next time in the Sandbox. We'll see you then. Make it a great day.
Culture doesn't change alone, and neither should you. Did this episode resonate with you? We'd love if you'd give it a like and a share. Be a part in helping us spread our reach to other leaders who could benefit from hearing this message. Also, subscribe to this podcast so you can continue to gain great leadership content weekly. Until next time, we'll see you in the Sandbox.